friends, to Occultists Anonymous and our Mage the Awakening Chronicle Into the West. Special shout outs to everybody who likes, comments, subscribes, and follows along with the adventures, but a special shout out. Did I say a special shout out to begin with? Well, this is an extra special shout out. I can't keep track. It's been a minute. To our patrons. Double special. Special plus plus. To Adele, Alis, Aiden, Alexander, Alstrit, Amygdala, Bernie, Chris, Doc, Emil, Ethan, Jeff, George. I finally finished my PhD. James,
Yay.
Camo,
Hey.
Catfeathers, Klaus, Michael, Milo V3.
You should stop here and acknowledge that massive undertaking is completed. Way to go. Awesome job.
Moku, Mozart D Minor, Nexus, Nick, Other Guy, Perry, Foog, Polka Dot, Hubris, Porter, Puppeteer, Riafio, Sean, Shaxara, Starfish, Terran, Terry, Thomas, Verhex, Vincent, Vortex, and Zoltan. No stumbling with those later letters. Thank you all so much for your support. We really appreciate it. So we pick up after Camelot and the chasing of the Castellan out of his clubhouse, more or less. The Coven is able to spend a little time looking about, investigating stuff. Truthfully, there's not a lot of signals or signs of what Sir Lucan was up to here. I had to remember which names I was using for who.
My impression was that this was just his happy place.
Correct. That is the kind of like walkaway. This is the thing where he's playing with toys, effectively, right? They're goetic entities, but he's manipulating them, moving them, and just, playing the power behind the throne, which is very, very seer.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's very little connection to what he might be up to. We did mention that he kind of turned a corner and disappeared. And unlike teleport, which would leave a spell behind or something like that, this is just him leaving the Temenos, and there's no tracing that back other than, well, it'll go to his Oneros, and jumping into another Mage's Oneros is probably a dangerous idea.
Speak for yourself.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I knew that was coming. But so it's been a month during which Rael has returned with a tome of information that they had gathered from Sangander. It looks very much like an academic book. It is clean and neat and printed, and not necessarily in code, but it is blatantly, it is in high speech, but not in some like runic alphabet or anything like that. It appears to be English gibberish. That were you to
appears to be. And then upon activation of a certain attainment, what does it say?
Oh, no, not even that. It's in high speech, so you just read it. You all can read.
Yes, you said that. Never mind.
Yeah.
He was just using non-specific language.
Yes. Yeah. So yes, it appears to be, for anybody else, a bunch of gibberish. The Italian pop song from the 70s. It's so good, it gets stuck in my head. We were talking about earworms earlier. But yeah, so anybody to read this would think that they're reading something in English, but not understanding it. Native English speakers would be, this is a bunch of gobbledygook, but to anybody who is capable of reading high speech would understand it entirely.
It's like a YouTube video of how English sounds to non-English speakers.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Hey.
Yep. And the long and short of it ends up being a lot of nasty seer plots and activities on I don't want to say global scale, on a national scale. A lot of stuff done out on the East Coast. a lot of stuff done with I almost said the Mason-Dixon line. Well, yeah, we'll say the Mason-Dixon line. Uh, Areas that in the future will be right on the edge of the Civil War and North and South and stuff like that, and fomenting some levels of chaos and stuff like that. But there are definite sections in the book, because it's been a month. You guys have had plenty of time to read over this, that are just like gaps, blatant gaps that there are footnotes effectively wherein the liberators have left messages of, yeah, there is time missing from their memories, such that like in reviewing it, we can tell, but we can't tell what is missing. It was just like they went to sleep and then they woke up and hang on, the sun has moved a bit more. There are gaps, and some of them are days and some of them are months long, wherein Sangander was very likely up to serpent stuff, because that is the only thing that is missing from memories. Lots of stuff of their own personal activities and bossing around direct lackeys, but anything that seems to be a grander, bigger picture, something like the machine, dungeon, what have I been calling it? Either way, the all the mechanisms and such, no memory of it, no symbols, no nothing. And very clearly, again, in the footnotes, they scrubbed this guy clean before kicking him out, and then we got them. Which also brings up a final little epilogue in the book of, yeah, we don't entirely know if this guy was kicked out or sacrificed to us, thinking that we got something and weren't going to be as ruthless in getting everything out of him to notice the gaps, because they are seamless. Like, this is that the whole, investigating the house and noticing, wait, hang on, this wallpaper, and peeling it back and finding the bloody mess behind it or whatever. Frustrating and not necessarily illuminating, but a definite clear picture of what the serpents are willing to do, and should we desire to in the future a reference point for, okay, let's find somebody who worked with Sangander or something like that you may still use that as a avenue, but direct information about the project, nothing here, which again I kind of already suggested that. So you've had the book for a month, as well as some various free time. What have you guys been up to, either as a group or individually? Folks at home, if this seems kind of rambly or out of sorts, it kind of is, because I sprung the time skip on them 15 minutes ago.
Before we get into that, briefly, Drew, I want to say, highlight, if the serpents intentionally pruned the memories of Sangander and offered him up as a temptation to the liberators to brutalize him, that would be consistent with their goals, right? That they're effectively trying to turn the liberators into something they choose not to be. And if the liberators are going to sacrifice their own morals and wisdom in order to get more information, they're just going down a slippery slope, right? It's not a place they want to be, but from the serpent's perspective, it's a place where the serpents want them to be, where they're going to sacrifice their own principles in order to chase them.
Right. And that was a big thing that you picked up from Rael, is they finished with Sangander and then look at my hands, out damn spot, just like, oh, maybe we need to roll this back because are we the baddies kind of situation.
Yep.
We just circle back for there were a couple of salient points I wanted to grab when we were actually in Camelot.
Sure.
We got a general location of where is actually located.
Yes, your fictional map.
And we at least laid the groundwork for a future dialogue of how do we resolve this without killing everybody within a 100-mile radius of all of us. Yeah. And we not necessarily any progress on that, but we at least started the groundwork of that dialogue.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, because you guys did not want to escalate this into an actual hot war.
Yeah.
Keeping this at a cold. Don't make that face, Chris. You guys aren't there just yet. Hot war later. Right now, Cold War winter.
A hot war summer.
Yep, thank you. Yep, you're there.
Yeah.
Too.
We basically made our made the same sort of threat to them as they made to us.
Mm-hmm. Yep, we can also find you where you relax, where you rest. As Sir Lucan said, "Hey, I didn't want to do that, and now you were here. Like, can we be cool? Can we just keep fighting remotely? Because every mage knows that, if things go nuclear, nobody wins. Well, somebody's going to win, but they're going to rule over a pile
It's not
of
going to be
ash.
either of us.
It'll be a
Also
pure
true.
victory at best. Yeah.
Yeah. The vultures will swoop down. Feed from
The
our
vultures and
carcasses.
scavengers. Excuse me. Sorry.
Yeah. Serpents aren't
Don't
going to
know
be in
when
a
that came
good
out.
position. Be vulnerable.
Everyone that's
Getting
tried it
attacked.
before has just been struck down by the gods for their hubris, but I'm built different, better.
That's
Better even than
That's
the
even
goblins.
better even than the gods.
Amazing.
Yep.
But yeah, good point. Thank you, Craig. That had slipped my
I thought you
mind
were
just
just
a
about to
little
say
bit.
good point, Chris.
You are welcome. You are welcome to challenge the gods anytime you want, Chris. I'm just saying, Songbird.
I mean, well,
Hey, if I have the rules for it ahead of time, I'll be fine.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Yes, that's right.
I have an idea of something that
Absolutely.
Petrichor is going to do. It's ill-advised and hybridical. That's a new word, by the way. She spends, how long did you say, like a month?
Mm-hmm.
She spends a month gathering and processing essence
Oh,
to make it the dankest, wettest, most cave-worthy essence she can.
I don't necessarily know. Well, yeah, Dinkus, sure, we'll go with it. But yeah, I don't know that spider. Yeah, hang on, I'm gonna cross-reference here. Hey, Ralph, I know this isn't like your thing, but like spiders and wet.
Spiders, it
Some of
depends
them.
on the spiders. There are diving spiders that live in the water. I mean, they keep, of course, a bubble around themselves of air so they can breathe. Honestly, dry conditions are the most challenging for arthropods because their high surface area to volume ratio means that they're more likely to desiccate. So being in moist environments is advantageous, and you often find spiders in dark, moist places. Some of them will be in the water, but they might try and keep their bodies dry so they can keep their book lungs breathing. Anyway, it depends. But moist environments, dank is good for lots of spiders.
Chris, I'll allow it.
Thanks.
After consulting with the experts.
I mean, just think about the conditions of like a wood pile and stuff. Like there's a lot of there's a moistness that is involved.
Indeed. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And by gathering,
a lot of food down there too.
Yeah.
Have you been like? Are we talking like I'm converting the mana I have into essence, or or are we escalating up to I'm going to go bully local spirits, or like because you said it was hubristic. I'm like, how deep are we going here?
Oh no, the hubris is not the gathering of the essence.
Oh,
it's
sorry.
what I intend to
They're
do
not
with it.
done yet. Please, Chris, continue.
Yeah, baby.
Is to go and formalize more relations with our good neighbor.
Sure.
Yes.
Not seen on this podcast for a long time, but seen occasionally in person by Petrichor.
That's right.
And now more frequently, is that what we're suggesting? Or
I'm kind of going for like a lump sum sort of thing.
Okay, yeah.
Roll
up with the I bring gifts.
Yeah.
Okay.
Glittering cart.
Yeah, the equivalent of like an Arabian trade delegation.
Sure.
Yes.
Okay.
Princess Isabel, mighty is she.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Spirit version of a dump truck full of cash.
Yeah. Exactly.
What if it was a dowry?
No, I'm already married.
I know, but I mean, his spirits,
That's true.
certainly polyanimus.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Hey, get it?
what's the meme? Me, my husband, or me, my wife, and
Yep.
her spirit rank
Yep.
8
Yeah.
spirit
Her,
wife.
her rank 8 spirit.
I like that. Yeah. Which especially because like you can't hold all that essence in your pattern. You've been stashing it.
Yep.
And so not that anybody is going to be capable of stopping Isabel, but who here has taken notice and or made comment? Because I will allow comments to be made.
Well, I think Theo would take notice, but not make any comment. She's often up to things that she doesn't want people to
That's
comment
true.
about, so she respects everybody else's privacy. Yeah.
I'll offer this, considering the mine is one of the direct routes into her realm. I wouldn't be surprised if there was a conversation about ways that Cloak might be able to come up with some kind of imbued item that could store it, prime based, maybe. Right, and he wouldn't be opposed to this. He doesn't need to ask any questions.
I mean, there's like a mana battery spell, so I figured you could
Mhm.
do essentially the same thing for essence,
exactly.
right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, maybe Theo and Cloak could make something.
Yeah. I mean, like, hey,
Like-
why not store the wealth in the mine? I don't know. I'm just saying, in terms of how we respond, right?
Mhm.
Cloak would definitely not ask you questions about what you're going to do with it, because he'd assume that if relevant, you share it. He would just ask if there's a way I can help, because it's intriguing. There's got to be some good reason why you're doing this, right? It's
Now
like,
I have the mental image of Petrichor rolling up with a big barrel bag, enchanted barrel bag.
yeah, that's
That's it. It's just full of essence nodules.
Love it.
fantastic.
Cool.
Helena probably hasn't even noticed. I don't look at essence and spirits.
No. Little bit of prime be like, the ley lines have shifted just ever so slightly towards this gathering of essence, just like the gravitational shift, right? Just like drawn.
So just mechanically, where are you getting it from? Are you just gonna like put a tap into the we haven't played Mage in a little while. Our mana tap
The
thing.
Locust.
Oh, the Hallow and the
Hallow?
Locust?
Hallow. Thank you, the Hallow. Are you just gonna put a tap in the Hallow, or
I mean, the Locust is already flavored, so I think she's turning her own mana into essence.
Mhm.
She's bumming off of friendly spirits.
Got lots
As,
of oblations.
Yeah.
And also, great stuff. Got
Yeah.
Prime 5.
Hmm?
Got Prime 5.
Who does?
If you need another Hallow.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the Hallow wouldn't do the right thing.
Well,
Fair enough.
to create the mana.
To make more mana, yeah, I guess
Right?
fair.
Yeah, I just
fair.
mean if you're a sorry, an essence filter, right? If
Mhm.
the rate limiting step is getting the mana, right? Then I mean,
For what she has planned, I think she wants it to be more natural.
cool. Sounds
Like
good.
there's something about the feeling of like if it's the mana from her own body that she makes, it's like it
Ooh.
feels closer to essence than like
Oh yeah,
having someone else make some for her.
I love that.
Um,
Like you get an artisan jar and you spit in it for weeks and weeks and weeks, and you present that to somebody. Viscous marvel you contained within
All right.
antique glass.
Moving right along.
We don't need to talk about jars and things in them.
It's essence. Come on now.
Um,
Anyone seen Doctor Strangelove?
Fair. So she does eventually. I guess towards the end of this month we could start with that scene or whatever.
that might be,
awesome.
Just like
Awesome.
just like a big, like almost like water carrying
Mm-hmm.
staff with just like jars and jars of essence, essentially,
Love it.
like dangling off of it. And she yeets herself past the gauntlet.
Cool. Pin in that. What has everybody else been up to? If anything of particular note.
so what's the mood for them? Are we like on a heightened alert status, or we think this is going to be fairly calm?
Well, at least for the first part of the month, probably because like, you know, you guys kind of kicked in the door at Camelot after they clearly showed that they know where you all are. And so yeah, there was probably like okay, now we wait for the, you know, the return thrust, and nothing has happened. Notably, there's no contact, there's no messages, there's no like snarky you know, goetic puppeted friendly, you know, 17-year-old girl taken to a bar. Yeah, it's just if you don't get that, it's a reference to the rookery and nothing inappropriate. I say that with words of truth. Yeah, it's been quiet, which initially was like, okay, we're tensed up. Now it's become that kind of background like tension, and less of like something's about to blow up and more about waiting. Yeah.
So during the first part, I think Theo and Catherine would have done some work around reinforcing wards and things like that, getting the house more, because now we have the whole fate time aspect to incorporate into our fictional stuff. So getting her involved in that process.
Yep.
I guess you can't do contingencies yet. That's got to come from higher dots, right?
Time 2 and hungs. Yeah. You have
contingencies.
And then there's Basilisk. Basilisk is the.
That's the fate one.
That's fate 2.
Yeah, but time 2 allows for hung spell and conditional duration.
Okay. And conditional triggers and stuff. Yeah. Okay. So we incorporate some of that stuff in for the first couple of weeks. But if it's calm after that, and there's been no movement, Theo might suggest that they take a train ride.
Ooh.
I like that. Yeah.
It's sort of out of the blue.
Yeah, well, especially if like tension is building, you've done everything you can, you've checked everything off, you've swept the kitchen the 3rd or 4th time today. It's like we have nothing to do. All right, you know, we have to get out of here. We're going to take a little trip. And yeah, I guess ride up to the fort to catch a train for a little bit.
Yep, and just go on a train ride for the sightseeing aspect of it.
Because
if anyone missed it in the podcast, when Theo went into Catherine's and Nero's, the whole experience was like all about trains. Everything was a train. There was an aspect of a train. So trains are very big in her mind.
Yep.
So Theo made a note to take her out on a trip one time.
I mean, and leaving town is a little spooky, but at the end of the day, if you get really concerned, it's a telepathic message away to Cloak, get me out of here. Well, like, but get me out of here.
I think even we'd probably have like an item or something to do a relocation back to home if Legwick should be able to provide that, right?
Yeah. I mean, like a device? Yeah, he would have given you all.
Yeah.
Transponder beacons.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the event he can't do it. Yeah. I mean, because the sympathetic connection from the telepathy is enough for him to yank you back. But but yeah, he that is something he would have been able to do and would be happy to do, is create some device like a one-time use if it needs to be that, where people can break a crystal and then it just shoots them back.
Yeah, actually, because I was thinking about it. Actually, Catherine can cast Hung spell on Legba.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yes, Legba. Absolutely.
Okay, I'm going to teleport these 2 people right here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect.
Hung spell goes off when Catherine decides, more or less, and then
that's right.
Legba's spell goes off.
And you know what the best part is, because Legba doesn't have any time, but does have sufficient mastery of Prime. He can take control of the spell, so she doesn't have to keep it in her spell.
She doesn't even have to hold it. That's Yeah, that's an undertouched spell, I feel like.
Yeah.
Is it
it's really useful
transfer? Yeah, primal transfer.
Yeah. Super useful in a Cabal.
Yep.
People have different gnosis levels, or you want to move spells around. It's like
or Jules, you're not doing anything. Here, hold this spell. What's it for?
Yes,
this
that's
is our
right.
get out of jail free card.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Thanks for that
I mean, are you the one
responsibility.
putting people in jail?
Yeah.
That's right.
It's like,
That's hilarious.
does Isabel know about this before I accept this spell? Is she okay with you? Yeah. We're not literally getting in jail. Cool. I like that.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah. So that is a really nice. There's a reference or metaphor, I can't remember, but yeah, just like everything is tense, and then we have this little moment of like, yep, we're just going to ignore the fact that there is a potential, well, there is a shadow war playing out around us, and we're just going to try and tone it out and just sit and be very mundane and enjoy a train ride. So I like that. That's cute. Anything for Helena?
I feel like she's definitely staying wound up. Basically she's on alert, and that's just her state of being now. I was trying to look through my spells to see. I don't think I can make wards are a fate thing, yeah.
No, wards are just any kind of shielding, and Prime actually gets the big wards and signs spell.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I want to like actually lay some of those down around like the town itself.
Mhm.
The fields and all, I kind of associate that as being Theo's.
Sure.
Like across the river where the farms are.
Mm-hmm.
But here
They're geomantically separate. We've established that.
Yeah. But yeah, like here on this side, I want to like really shore up just some wards and shields around the town.
Yeah, I actually think between the three of y'all, we basically have the cave system, the town, and then the fields, and then Isabel in the middle of it, zipping back and forth. Yeah. So lots of wards being put down that basically defend the town from actually being manipulated at a
There's
town
a fourth
scale.
thing to be warded and protected, by the way, Drew. There's a fourth thing that is protected and warded.
Do tell, but
The sky.
True.
Yeah.
Which, to be fair, I would imagine the seers probably are not prepared for just full discretion. Yeah, they're like, we've got spells, we can get in there. There's this weird imp thing, but we can get past that. And then they're like, cool, we're in. Where is everybody? And then Flight of the Valkyries starts playing. Oh my god, witches from the sky.
I was thinking that like what Helena's trying to put down are things that will sort of negate magic. I don't have fate, so I can't give it the conditional duration, right? I was trying to make it so that like if outside mages come in, they would get shut down. Or at the very least clash in a way that would let me know that they're here.
So unfortunately, no, you do not have fate. However, you have prime. So while you could not necessarily create a conditional duration, you can create magic items that do things when certain things happen. So it's one of those things that unfortunately the book is kind of iffy about, but magical magical items should totally be able to be traps.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do, basically. Set a trap for not us.
Right. And yeah, actually that's true, because I think I know where Ralph was going with this. Ralph can actually, Legba can actually prime spaces to be enchanted. So you would still do the actual enchanting, but Legba is basically able to set up this area can be enchanted. It needs to have a mana battery created for it, which is something that you can actually do.
Yeah, I was looking at the Hallow Dance. I was thinking of trying to maybe get us more than one Hallow.
I mean, you can. Yeah, I mean, you have Prime 5. It's not a try thing. It's
I could just do it with Prime 5.
Yep.
Prime 4 is the wake one up.
Yeah.
No, you could just create some truth. Which, I mean, I'll be honest, I love. Let's create truth is one of my favorite hubris spells because it's like, you know, I just need mana here, and I'm just going to throw enough mana at it that it just happens.
And then wait a day.
Huh?
And then wait a day.
Yeah. Get your mana back.
Yeah, I do. I think I prefer Hello Dance of those though, because I like improving something that's already there. Because it feels like it's already part of the town. I just kind of want to go wake it up more.
Well, like a mini Hallow that feeds a particular enchanted effect. That's kind of neat.
Yeah, you got that. Yeah, I'm good with either. The town is, you know, me not trying to play a base building game.
Having a good time though.
Yeah. The episode isn't out yet, but by the time this one is, maybe it will be. But Words of Witchcraft, and Drifter gets to have his bar.
Oh yeah.
It was good. It was fun. I probably should have done more with it, but it was fun. And they gave me the keys to the car, and I didn't know what to do with it now that I had it.
That's how it goes.
But yeah, no, I love the idea of Helena basically coaxing the existing Hallow up and, you know, kind of building that bonfire and then running jumper cables out to this enchantment and that enchantment, and like somebody's going to show.
Fence.
Huh?
Like an electric fence.
Yeah. And you know, somebody's going to come by.
It could be an electric fence or Forces 5.
It's true. It doesn't need any kind of supports. It's just electricity. Sucks to be you.
You have a headcanon now, like, sure, she's running around doing all this during the day, and then at night she's sitting in the dark like Conan, just with the don't fuck with me face, slowly sharpening her sword.
Yep.
That's hilarious.
I mean,
she also running around punching horses, animals.
No, I don't think.
I didn't take it that far. But.
Yeah. But yeah, it'll be fun when Abigail comes by, which, by the way, not that there's been any YouTube comments about it, but Abigail did bring the daughters back from the camping trip. I realized it's like that was one of those things I never mentioned. It did happen. Similarly, our characters also eat and poop.
Yeah,
you know.
Speak for yourself.
Yeah,
Speak for yourself. I told you about this. I told you about it.
We're gonna move right along.
I told you about the shit pig.
I'm the one with the life magic.
Yeah,
true. But yeah, Abigail coming in and just, you know, having a little visit.
My
and just,
intestine is a liminal space.
Oh, no. Nope. Moving right along.
There's a portal there.
No. The stuff we cover. Like, listen, everybody talks about
an immediate item.
It's like, you know, literally shit cold bricks, so don't worry about it.
Moving on. Yes, Abigail arriving, coming by to visit, and there is this effectively wires spread throughout town magically, and it's just like, what happened here? And Helena has her Doc Brown expression on. It's like, it's fine, don't touch anything.
Industrial revolution.
Yeah, because I mean,
razor wire.
She has been basically laying the wires this whole time, so now I'm just gonna like turn them on.
True.
Yeah. All the geometric. Yeah, I dig that. That's really cool.
Can I ask a brief attic question? Have any of you hit a cattle fence, an electric cattle fence before? Have any of you touched it?
Yeah.
Chris, why am I not in any way surprised?
Not one for cattle, but we had them for our dogs.
Gotcha. Okay. Ooh, marine boat battery powered cattle fence. I did it accidentally twice.
Don't pee on them.
We had
Don't pee on them. That's right.
Yes.
I want to do that. It was a thing.
Incredibly clever little beagle dogs outside. Basically learned to hear it.
Oh yeah.
So the second if it turned off, they would be digging under it and running away. Getting out. We have to chase them down.
Or like digging for 30 seconds and then run back and then dig for 30 seconds and run back.
No, if like something happened and the battery stopped working, it would be off for like 5 minutes and the dogs would be gone.
It's quite audible.
Yeah.
The one I've experienced with is like basically a rotating drum electrifies the fence
Okay. Cool.
every few seconds or whatever.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Yeah. So defense is mounted across the entire town. We've got the farmhouse, the Stokes estate defended. We have Isabel gathering up a horde of essence. I'm afraid to ask, Legba, what were you up to?
Ooh, yeah.
We'll try and keep
Imbued
this
items.
short, Ralph.
Okay, sure. You got it. Aside from managing his digestion, he has been doing three main things. The first is visiting Camelot and investing more in the role as Merlin.
Yep.
He has claimed it, and he wants to make it clear to Sir Lucan that it is one a matter of respect, that this is something he has earned and he is Legba. So he's taken this role. He now owns this role. It doesn't matter that this is your special place. So keep that in mind, right? Like this is the way this game works, right? If I'm going to take something, I'm not going to give it back. But also in that respect, he's trying to talk to him as much as possible. Mm-hmm. So whenever he's there, he's trying to engage him in rather conventional interactions. He's trying to get to know him as a person. So it's okay if Sir Lucan is rather uninterested in that. It's totally fine. Legba won't take that personally, especially because he's Legba. Also, because he understands what's happening. But, you know, just like standard fieldcraft, I mean, I'm not an actual spy or anything, but, you know, in the naive way that I understand it, standard fieldcraft of just getting somebody familiar with your presence, that's what he's doing to the point at which it will actually become a meaningful and useful interaction.
I will answer, broadly speaking, he does not interact with you as Legba, but he himself, following the role, is forced to interact with you as Merlin. So there's some of that stuff where the roles kind of blend, where Legba comes out from Merlin, where Sir Lucan comes out from Sir Lucan, the Castellan, where you have a little bit of interaction and you can kind of see him break character, so to speak, but it has been slow. But you have gone from standoffish to rivals, if you understand what I mean. Like, I acknowledge who you are. I see who you are. I don't like you. We're not on the same team, but I respect you for what you're doing. And probably not to the point of he enjoys you being around and enjoys having you as a rival. You're not that kind of, but it's like, okay, I see you. I do have to watch out and be careful of what I am doing. And so it's not, he doesn't try to play the seer, you are beneath me kind of card, and more of, I have to be aware of you.
Perfect. That's where we need to be. And then eventually we'll get down the road, and, you know, in season 12, when they're rivals and they're secretly in love. Right. And we'll deal with all the fallout of that.
Yeah, enemies to lovers. Yep.
Anime style. Forgive me. So anyway, moving on. The second thing that Legba is going to be doing is should be rather brief, checking in with Jules about what's going on in DC. If there's anything relevant.
Yeah, and I mean, for our purposes, history is continuing on its established course, but with maybe a little bit more aggression between the North and South. Cool. Things are coming to a head a little bit faster. The introduction of cartridged rounds a little bit earlier. You know, trains are a little bit more active than they were in our timeline. Things are progressing with, you know, magical enhancement. So from our from character perspective, things are heading to a bad place. From our perspective, things are heading to a really bad place really fast.
Okay, yeah. Interesting. All right, cool. Thank you. Third thing is he wanted to, let's see, is there time for this?
You got a month.
I'll briefly, sure, cool. And the third thing is he would actually try and have an interaction with Quetzalcoatl in the Temenos, having not done so long, right? Since he parted ways with Salazar, he would see if there's been any interaction there. Try and glean some, vague information about things that might be relevant.
Has Legba been keeping up with him since Salazar left?
No, well, you know what? Legba has maintained interactions with him, but has tried to. It's this kind of thing where you're joint mentors of someone.
Mm-hmm.
You formed a professional relationship. It's awkward if you just break it off. So Legba has maintained, as Legba strictly, his persona in the Temenos, because he has taken the place of Legba as one of the versions of Legba.
Right.
He actually has to maintain a relationship with Quetzalcoatl. It'd be strange if he separated it. So he is interacting with Quetzalcoatl. He's done so primarily in that respect. But that desire for him personally to have some relationship with a god of knowledge is not something he's actively maintained since Salazar left.
I will tell you that your relationship over the years, admittedly, has soured. And while Quetzalcoatl puts up with your presence because of a professional relationship, you can see that he is turned against anybody outside of, we'll say, the ethnicity and the ancestry. And I will go ahead and give you, just because Legba is versed in the Temenos, it is very, very likely that Quetzalcoatl is being used by Salazar, not directly in the Temenos, but outside it in Mexico as a xenophobic icon and trying to turn. So you have watched this transition and he can't kick you out, probably could, but just because that's just not the done thing. So that's why you're still there. But the environment, the temple grounds has changed, where it was a center of learning and knowledge, and now it is, but it's more of this hoarded knowledge. It is more of we can kind of take the forbidden, spooky knowledge that grants power rather than necessarily knowledge is power. And so you have watched over the decade that transition and shift, and Legba is there as a professional associate and not, when you had first arrived, as almost an acolyte, or at least a student. And now it's just you're here, that's great, you can watch.
Cool. Okay. But that answers some questions. Thank you. That was the kind of information he was trying to get implicitly.
Cool. Wherever Salazar is, whatever he is up to, and great.
That's a sign of how it's going. Okay, great. Because as things come to a head, he does need to, he's responsible for that connection with someone out there who has some connection to the town. As much as the work he did as a master of space still, right? He needs to monitor this the best he can without forming new connections. So that's how I thought he would do that.
Cool. I appreciate that.
Okay, great. 3 more things. I'll try and do them briefly. All right. Straightforward. There are 2 projects that he wants to work on, which of course don't require any direct adjudication. This is something you can just, as fiat, tell me how it works out. Okay. The first is we talked about that vestibule for teleportation to prevent tracking or scrambling and encrypted teleportation. Right. So that is something he would spend a lot of time on trying to establish, anticipating that might be necessary to evade pursuit of more than one master of space at some point.
I will tell you, the idea of a vestibule to teleport somebody through in a single spellcast doesn't work out the way Legba was hoping, but he does come up with effectively an extra dimensional space of indeterminate space, so cool. everybody gets teleported in there, and it's like getting shoved into the telephone booth.
Oh yeah.
Right, everybody's just piled in. But with the application of Prime, basically it's pop in here and then pop out somewhere else, 2 different spell casts. And the nature of that room, if somebody were to follow you in, you're like, it's just a mess of Prime that it's like, where did they go? I don't know. It's just a cacophony, a static almost that just like,
Perfect.
I can't zip somebody through here, but if I pop in here and then pop out somewhere else, nobody's following me.
That's like
Great.
2 degrees off of like a befouled spell.
Yep.
Like an inverted truth of Prime and space that this does not lead. Yes, befouled.
Yeah. Okay,
yes.
Cool.
Yeah, and I mean, there may be one of those things where like Legba is working on it and realizes, well, if I want to make this work the way I want it to, my wisdom is about to make a big dip. Instead, I'm going to do this second best option that is, scrambling, or I guess maybe perhaps shielding. Yeah, cool. Check. What was the other ones?
Great. Awesome. The second one, which it's totally okay if this requires more time for you to think about how this would work. But them being able to get into town, getting past the imp, he's not going to summon another supernal being and whatchamacallit, and then request that it be superseded. He's made the deal. The deal's there, right? That's what happens. He will reinforce it by summoning that imp again and then just paying him just as a matter of courtesy, not requesting anything in exchange. Just, this has been up for so long and it has worked the way we've agreed. And I just want to honor our agreement that has been standing there. That's all.
Your contract is up for renewal. Here I'm going to pay. I dig that.
Yes, exactly. Yep. Straight up. No additional requests. Only honoring, right? Paying tribute. But in the course of them getting into town, there is something that he could do that might be more mundane and take more time, that might make it really hard for them to do, and they might not realize it. So when people are traversing a space, they're going to assume that there's a certain amount of distance they need to traverse, and that's going to influence the choices they make. If you can subtly influence how much space there is between spaces or the distance across a landscape, and it can be unpredictable, it can be really hard to traverse that landscape because one step might take a mile to traverse. Another step might take, just 1 inch, right? Whoever knows what it is. A minefield of space anomalies around that each individually might be really easy to get rid of. But if they're all over the place and you don't know where they are and they're shielded and stuff like that, it's going to make it really hard to move, even if you can see what's on the other side of the fence. Right. It could take you 3 years to get across just because of the distance. Maybe you could teleport and stuff like that. There are ways to do it, but just coming up with some means by which to change how long it takes for people to get into town when they're not a member of town, to prevent that from what happened before. What Legba basically wants is that people have to come in through the roads if they're foreigners.
I like that. Okay. So I have a couple questions then, because the short answer here is, yeah, I think that can work. However, do you get a supernal involved, like to manage this on like a much larger scale, perhaps?
Perhaps, yes. And I think that would probably be a good idea. Then it wouldn't be a spell that's up. It'd be a supernal effect. All
right. Well, so this is the devil's bargain I'm going to give you.
Ooh, yeah.
I will absolutely allow this. Hands down, no problem. It will require people to enter and learn of and the pathway to Purgatory Bluff the mundane way.
Great. Okay.
But it will also cause a knock-on effect that will stumble up and mess with space basically across the whole of the Wild West.
Oh, interesting. Is there any way of predicting how it messes with space?
I'm reading through the Dark Eras 2 book to see exactly how that ends up working. But in short,
It's your fault.
yes, this is Legba's fault.
Ooh. I like stimulating stories.
Yes. So specifically,
Legba's fault's a lot better than Amigawa fault.
Sure. The book basically writes that travel across long distances via space magic is particularly fraught anywhere west of the Mississippi River. Just ask the mysterious New England caucus, which lost an entire Athenaeum's worth of treasure it tried to transport to Arizona. Even seemingly stable distortions often deliver passengers and cargo miles from their intended destination, or lead to the wrong point in time or another world entirely.
Cool.
Only westbound travel appears affected. The pneumatic heptasophic cabal hypothesizes that the frequency and intensity of the phenomenon's manifestations may have some connection to celestial alignments. No, they're wrong. Legba made a deal with an imp, and it had some knock-on effects that nobody expected.
But there was perhaps a celestial alignment that was,
involved.
overhead.
Yes.
Can I ask for some follow-up in terms of how certain things might interact with that before I formally agree to accept this fantastic and delightful Devil's Bargain?
Devil's Bargain, absolutely. What's up?
How does this affect Legba's attainment? Considering it's working slightly differently?
Actually, your attainment probably is one of the only safe passages around. Now, again, this is westward travel, so anybody retreating from the west can go back home just fine, but trying to come back and head west, even to places that they are familiar with, run afoul of things.
Okay, great. So as long as his attainment isn't affected, great. I like it in the story. Because, of course, with what we're doing with the Underground Railroad and all that, I don't want to cause problems. It's really important for that. Also, it would be very cool if he tries to do it at one point, he's used to using his regular way and then is surprised by trying to do it instantaneously and it doesn't work. And he has to wait and then go through the laborious process of going through the Temenos and finding where he is and then get there. And then, so, I would find it interesting for the story. So
good. Wonderful.
Yeah, totally.
That gives
I'll
me
leave the
so
rest
many
of the
good
implications up to you.
Yeah.
So, one last bit with the new vestibule. How's that going to affect the vestibule? Does it affect where you're coming out from? Can you still get from the vestibule? And then the exit point is then going to be screwed up?
The exit point, if it is westward travel, is going to be screwed up.
Perfect. We're good then. We're good. I just mean going into it for the scrambling purposes and then going out.
Because it is an extra dimensional space somewhere out there. Yeah, you can get there. Then going from there anywhere into the west, including Purgatory Bluff.
I'm on board. I'm totally on board. Let's have shenanigans. This is great. Yep. Yes, thank you. You've given me a gift, sir.
So you all heard it here first. It's Legba's fault. You're doing that Wild West Dark Eras game, and space magic is wonky. Legba's fault.
I love it. It's so good.
1,000 changelings just cried out as the hedge became utterly unstable.
Oh, it's so bad.
Yes.
So we actually pick up a month forward.
Really
go
quick.
ahead. Yeah. Sorry, that's what you said.
Real quick. He would check in with the lovers of supernal beings. The supernal being fan club, right? You don't have to have anything prepared for how that would go or negotiate a role playing encounter with me right now. But he would definitely be spending time talking to them, especially after going through the serpents and meeting the liberators and summoning other supernal beings, because that's an ongoing obsession of his.
Right.
And so I would be remiss if I didn't remind you that Legba is spending time on that.
Oh yeah, no, because that is the actually good transition. It has been a month during which you guys have been on high alert, building up defenses, being very tense, and working on your various projects to find allies. There's already a good connection with the Tempest Starry, which has been an ongoing thing, especially since Abigail has been doing some of that as well, because she is not affiliated with the Seers or the Pentacle, the Diamond Order, and working with Isabel on that. Isabel is being like, I'm going to try and win the favor of a very scary spider.
It's awesome. So
Helena is worried about specifically right here, right now. And Legba is continuing his connections with the Temenic community, both your lovers of Supernals, but also Metropolis in general, and just kind of reinforcing and kind of touching base fairly frequently, because it's that outside knowledge, right? We don't have internet. What is happening out there? A lot of it is through the Temenos. A lot of it is through, oh my gosh, Okomi and her friends. And I believe we had discussed that you guys had kind of established a strong connection. Not necessarily that you are part of the alliance, because that might come down the line, but you are the stopping point for leaving messages for one another. And that gets really, really important about 3 weeks into this month, when space magic suddenly becomes a lot more fraught, and transport around is a little bit more difficult. And for many folks who are from around here, that's fine, because they're used to traveling mundanely, because they are traveling with their people. They are still grounded with their tribe, with their family. They're in their, homesteads or mining facilities All of them are on Mars.
Imagine being grounded.
Right. Or you are used to mundanely flying. Like, okay, yeah, we're not using space magic. That does punch a fifth of mages in the face. Well, probably a little bit more than a fifth. But for a lot of folks, they're like, that's fine. We're used to doing this, And for many mages, hey, if I don't have the sympathetic connection, I have to travel mundanely anyways. But yeah, things have gotten
even further reason to go further west,
because
then you're more protected.
Correct. And that has, over the month, been something not necessarily that you have seen, but because of your connections with Okomi, the fact that you guys are all touching base with various allies. I would probably even go so far as to say, Helena, you have some more visitors from the Adamantine Arrow and probably Diamond Order of New York, because they kind of check in. You had your one who I cannot remember right now, who came by and visited, and then another comes by and visited, and you're like, what is with everybody coming by and visiting? And it's like, it's escalated. It's never a big group, but just every now and then people are like, hey, is the life outside the Diamond Order, is it decent? And for some folks, they kind of step away and they're like, no, I don't think like there's privilege and power and wealth within the Diamond Orders. And some folks come out and they meet you and they look at the place that you're staying and they're like, wait, you're a school teacher? Excuse me, you're a school marm? I'm going back to New York.
It's like, listen, it's harder, but trade-off.
Yeah.
You don't have to answer to them.
Yep. And I imagine Helena feels like the person who's like, hard work makes the reward better. Right. Yeah. She's the kind of person, I think we already determined that she was going to be like sewing her own clothes.
Ooh, yeah.
That was more of a lack of money thing.
Oh, fair.
Is that like she had power and privilege and wealth, and now she doesn't, but she still carries herself like she does. Right. So like all of her clothes are made by her, but they're like up to date with what is fashionable.
Gotcha. Not necessarily because she wants to, but because she kind of needs to maintain that for herself. Or
I mean, part of it's just like what she's used to. She likes being a lady.
Gotcha. Okay, I'm with it now. Yeah. So
So she puts in the work to keep up that appearance, even though she's living in a pioneer town in the middle of Colorado and she doesn't really have money.
Yep. Yeah, she has school marm salary, which is,
there's no society to be a part of here.
Right,
but like
Well,
It's just
There's
what's
Ike.
his name and his cousins too.
Yeah, there's Ike.
Alejandro.
Yes. And yes, the great big family that, like, as the decade has wound down, it's like, wait, is everybody related at this point? By marriage, at least? Yeah.
Everybody's got a cousin or something at the very least married into the family.
Yep.
We did say that the town has grown.
Correct.
Mhm.
Yes, it has.
Oh yeah, but if they're having like 8 kids at a time, which
well,
is not
only that,
uncommon.
there's also people coming in because there's a factory here that's working that has glowing reviews. People like
The most sterling safety record in the country.
legitimately, it's one of those things that comes up, like the mine is still limping along, but it's on its last legs. They're trying desperately. There's a couple of them who remember the good old days and felt like every time this mine wore out, we always found something new, and they're desperately trying. Ike is desperately trying to squeeze any more silver, and it's just not happening. They find absolute, like, pitiful amounts. But yes, the town itself is growing because once that factory got going, and then now, well, we have to supply it with fiber. Now we have to, so it's not a boom town, but yes, it has continued to grow. It is on the river, so trade happens. Food is being grown, which is another thing. This place is a breadbasket. Like, it's just amazing the food that this place exports. And the cows, have you seen the cows? Even Ike's, which are on the wrong side of the river, grow up, massive. Yeah, so like the town is definitely growing.
And the horses live forever.
Or at least Jose does. Yeah, so you guys have watched as the town has grown, and now your connections outside are starting to feel in the same way, where it's like it's very grassroots, but now that you have antagonists, right? Mm-hmm. Now all of a sudden it's like, well, we went from being like friendly and chatty to, hey, you've got my back if something happens, right? And a lot of people are going, if you have my back, and we have a lot of, those handshakes, the warrior handshake, like, I got your back. And
it's just this simple, like, sort of like casual little guffaw that Sheriff Isabel has. It's like, well, shit, I ain't shot nobody in a long time.
you want me to have your back? Sure, any excuse. Yeah,
that's great. Sounds great.
Yep. And yeah, it has been that slow accelerating buildup of, wait, we don't have friends, we have allies. No, we're friendly with them, but like,
we have some friends.
Correct. But that's what I mean. Like, it's expanded beyond merely being friends too. No, these are people that, like, will come in force, and not like, oh, hey, we brought a pasta dish because we heard you were sick. They show up with, like, knives, like, who got you sick? Mm-hmm. We have that escalation. Where were we? My train of thought. Poof. Oh,
allies.
Yes.
Allies.
So it is with that, like, understanding, that the handshaking and stuff like that we come to Rael and the Liberators showing up and saying, so there was a hang on here. This gentleman, John Brown, that we were working with.
Yes.
Yeah. He is moving forward with a rather audacious plan. It has kind of gotten out of our hands. At this point now, we are, and like, looking at Legba, where we could either change his mind or let him go through with this. It is.
What's he planning on doing?
Well, he's gonna let's see here. Make sure I directly quote this.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. You can
Uh,
go Wikipedia real easy.
Yep, that's where I'm at. Dun, 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 dun. He attacks the fort, right?
Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, he and some of his friends, they're going to attack a fort. They're going to try and take it over, if I remember correctly.
Like
they
the
seizing?
arsenal.
Yes, the arsenal. Yeah.
22 of them want to get their guns.
Mm-hmm. To claim 100,000 muskets and rifles.
That's a lot of guns.
Yep.
Ooh, baby.
Yeah. Yeah, because they had their own guns. But yeah, it's going to be a mess. It's likely to be a massacre. It probably will not go well, but it is going to raise some alarm. It is going to draw attention, both on both sides of the aisle, so to speak, because there are still some in the Diamond Order who think slavery has a place in the world, which is, of course, why the Liberators left the Diamond Order. And the Seers, of course, are, very pro-slavery. And that is going to put some pressure on us. And thanks for this, Legba. Now that disappearing into the West is easier than ever, we were hoping that we might come through Purgatory Bluff and then continue on our way with what allies and connections we have. Because when this goes loud, and I believe it will get quite a lot of attention, both sides of the aisle are probably just going to come for us and put a stop to our movement. So, and again, looking at Legba, since you are, on board with our operation, we were hoping that we might be able to stop by, potentially leave some very confused folks who don't have homes yet in your care. And then the rest of us will continue farther west to disappear and lose a trail.
You wish to go into the wind. And you wish Purgatory Bluff to be the place from which you go aloft.
Correct. The reason we are asking permission is because, well, we will have many a person who probably could be traced and followed directly here just because we have not had a chance to, or it's not our standard operating procedure to cleanse them of all their sympathetic connections. So Purgatory Bluff may become a point of interest for anti-abolitionists.
Like he opens his mouth, and he smiles, and it's all teeth, and he says, "It's been a great deal of time thinking about what the consequences would be of breaking chains on this scale. I'll first say, of course, I would not hesitate to aid you. However, if you are to be borne aloft on the wind to safety and isolation, I am not the keeper of the wind here. And so you need to speak with her first."
I imagine
Then
you
he
guys are
says-
actually having a nice group meeting.
Oh,
of
okay,
course.
fair enough then. Cool,
Yeah.
cool. But then he would also then say that. It wouldn't be any interruption, I think, but he would definitely say it in those words, in that form of expression, to acknowledge Isabel and Petrichor's ownership over the winds in Purgatory Bluff,
I think
even if they mean it figuratively. So
the cinematically, I think the thing that strikes in the scene is that at their truest and happiest, I think that both Legba and Petrichor, like their smiles are both that like full teeth, like absolutely like quasi psychotic.
Yeah, that's
Just like, yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah, that's right.
Petrichor has a bit more of like an animalistic sort of thing. But yeah, it's that like really just like that's not how faces should look.
Smiles and is baring your teeth.
Talking about helping someone run away from,
Yes,
assassin squads of mages.
Yeah, they look giddy. Like, oh, I finally get to play. Simultaneously smiling.
Wide, the eyes
Yeah,
just
this
a little
Rick
too big.
disappearing. Mm-hmm. Oh, really? Oh, they're gonna come, huh?
They're gonna be interested here.
I'll
Okay,
even open
sure.
the door.
Yeah, that's great. Come on in.
Yeah, that's right.
Watch that first step. It's a doozy.
Yeah, exactly.
I just
right,
realized, sorry, Queen
no
of
worries.
Darkness and all things eight-legged and spintacular. Trapdoor
She of many
spider.
legs and eggs.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh,
Trapdoor spider?
yeah.
Mhm.
Fantastic. This is gonna be good.
Sorry, carry on.
So Legba would then, of course, offer their use of his various magical abilities. He would then mention, in the event that you wish to quickly leave and it be necessary without being traced, I can provide you with the means to do that. No one will know where you go. Not even I will.
And if you want to travel physically, I can just sort of point you.
Yep.
And
then he
sort
says,
of a general bearing.
right. Rael does it's like we do have mundane locomotion planned, and we will be splitting up from here as a communal point where we can speak and then go our separate ways and then coordinate with one another later, just kind of spreading to the wind to reconvene later. But yeah, the main thing being like, we're asking permission to bring mayhem to your doorstep. I have heard two affirmatives from the Mastigos and the Theosists. I'm sure the Obrimos and Moros agree. And the Acanthus does too, I'm sure. Yeah, because especially considering all the buildup, and you're like, we have set this town up to be super defended, and you're telling us a bunch of anti-abolitionist assholes are going to be swinging by town in search of runaway slaves and abolitionists. Golly,
they're gonna lay siege. Oh yeah, this is good.
Well, and that
I'm
would
gonna
be
go
the other
boil
thing.
some tar.
Petrichor rummaging through chests in their house. Honey, where is my claymore?
That's right.
Well, because and that's the other thing that
I want the good one.
Where's my fancy dress claymore? As Rael says, because everything on the books about Purgatory Bluff, and he looks over and nods at Helena, it is a backwater nowhere place, and I think that you can provide a very warm welcome, as you all wish. But after our, discussions in the past, I think I know how you all will respond, especially because as far as everything is on paper, this area is yours. And those who trespass in it is to your justice. And like Rael has this grin of like he knows what he is hoping will happen. He is not saying that you should or that you will, but he's like,
but it's up to you,
right?
Really.
And because he's like, yeah, because if you are all up to it, we will. Well, we have a couple days before John Brown does his thing, so we are thinking of intentionally kicking a couple more hornet nests, and collecting up a few more folks, and making a bit of a ruckus to just really rile them up and then bring them your way, if y'all are amenable to that. I have no idea exactly what will come your way. I'm sure some people will arrive by magic. But there may be mundane followers, on the next couple trains coming down the river, things of that nature. But so Rael smiles and goes,
he says, what use is there for a seawall if the waves never crash and break against it?
Very nice. So
what is a seawall?
That's true. No, I'm pretty sure we have a couple seawalls in like surely.
I don't know that Petricor's ever seen the ocean.
It's from like inland Mexico.
Yeah, that's true. Yep. That's what I was thinking. I was like, yeah, because like there's not. Yeah. Yep, that's true. She's seen the ocean. She's just flown over it.
Just from above, yeah.
Yeah. Heads out to the Gulf to meet up with the Maelstrom. It still hasn't left.
Above the cloud for the most part. Yeah. We will welcome them with all the hospitality we possess.
Indeed.
Because
time to yell.
You know
what?
I'm
hearing.
Like Ver also says, there are two routes out of purgatory. Up to heaven. And then he he tries to restrain himself from
the other way,
growling, and he says, right back down to hell.
Yep. Okay. He's like, because Rael is like,
don't worry about Virgil over there. We got it.
That's right.
I know, because you do have this whole serpents thing going on, so I wanted to.
If anything, it'd be an excuse for them to try and come in, right?
That is something I had legitimately not thought about, but yeah, serpents sneaking in on this wave. Yeah, okay. Thank you for that, Chris. I appreciate it.
Thanks. It helps me with my plans.
Yep. Okay. Yeah. So yeah. With that, Rael makes his visit short. Unless anybody has any questions.
I do have a question on a character. Is he going to want to transport people via Legba's attainment? Are there any liberated people who are going to need to be transported quickly without breaking their minds?
Oh, yeah, because that's true. Traveling west, Colorado is still west.
Yep.
Yeah, so actually, minor retcon. He basically is asking for a pickup.
Cool. Yeah, then Legba would do it. Yep. Absolutely.
And basically, yeah, Legba will
out of Kansas.
Yep. And yeah.
Yeah, Legba and Petrichor show up in the middle of the night.
So the Liberators are actually based out of St. Louis.
Oh yeah,
this is the gateway to the west, right? There's an arch,
yep.
right? Yeah. So
yeah, when did the gateway arch get put up?
I mean, not yet, for sure.
Yeah. Okay, too bad. That's right. All right, fair enough. Say having it happen there is a cool idea.
Yeah, I was like, that would be perfect, but no. Yeah, they're set up in St. Louis. Actually, is St. Louis west of Mississippi?
It's
on the Mississippi.
Okay, cool, perfect. Yes,
Mississippi goes right through it.
So, yes. they're set up so they're as west as they can be
Damn,
without.
there's a mage cabal that's like one homie still lives on the east side. He's got to walk every time now.
Yeah, it's like, man,
That's so funny. That's hilarious,
We
Chris.
have gotta build a bridge. I'm telling you.
he's got a bike. He's just like
so funny.
He's got a canoe to work.
Yeah. It's like, guys, you got to come visit me now. It's just way easier if you just come this way. Yeah,
it's just gets the equivalent of the Staten Island treatment. Like no one wants to go there.
Yeah, no one wants to go out there.
Getting home is such a pain. Yeah, that's true. That discussion happens. Well, it's real easy if you guys come visit me. Yeah, but getting home is a pain in the butt. You are the only person who has to go west. You can get home real easy. Yeah.
1 to 5, not 5 to 1. You know how it works.
And so Rael basically arranges for you to pick them up, and definitely a show of trust, because he's like, here is the address to our sanctum, so that you can head east and then co-locate back to Purgatory Bluff, and empty the place. That'll be where we'll pick up in the aftermath of that next week. I'm trying to think. It's going to end up being a little bit on the shorter end of an episode.
I mean, can we unpin my?
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus! Yes. Exactly. Thank you. Good point. Yeah,
I figured that's what we were going to end with.
That's just, exactly what I meant to. Yeah. That's how we're going to end, Chris. Thank you for bringing that up. And
Thanks.
Never mind that weird cut YouTube that just happened. Nothing. You didn't miss anything.
Exactly what was planned.
Yes. So I will ask Chris. Chris, does Isabel show up just as Petrichor by herself, or do you bring the coven along to be like this big group? Hi.
Oh no, just me. There's no reason any of the others should ever have to be here.
Fair. Do you tell them where you're going?
No.
I love it. Langba loves it so much.
In the big spider.
It's so good. The best.
Before going, she takes let's see, how long is my ritual duration at Gnosis 5? 10 minutes?
It's half an hour. 10 minutes and Gnosis 6.
Do you let Hobby know that you're going?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I guess somebody does.
Someone has an idea, yeah.
He's the only one that's interested in spirits.
Fair enough.
Nobody shares my hobbies.
So you get eaten by a big spider.
Yeah,
it's coming. You haven't seen the second time skip yet.
So she sits down for like, I guess, a couple hours and takes a few ritual durations and pumps the potency on a combined life and time spell.
Ooh.
To accelerate her natural healing.
Oh, cool.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
With the idea that I think my idea for the spell would be that every potency halves. I think there is that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's body
life,
control.
but also pump it with time as well, so that then it's so every potency. I was imagining every potency is a factor 4 increase.
Sure. Cool.
So
like
she's down to like
awesome.
Seconds for bashing would be the idea with this spell. And then she is going to, like I said, she's got her like water carrying thing with jugs of essence, and she launches herself with her attainment, which I don't know if I've done on screen, but I have talked about.
Yes.
So her attainment is that she can essentially launch herself like a lightning strike or a thunderclap across the gauntlet, with the caveat that it announces to everyone on the arriving side that she has arrived.
So good. So good.
So there's no sneaking in. It's just this like launch, and it's from I think she does it from the room that Sanite had like been on in.
Fantastic. Awesome.
That's like I think where she was storing stuff for a while. because no one goes there. Intentionally so, no one goes there. And so yeah, she arrives, and we talked about it before, but like I think you said that the sort of underground side of the gauntlet here is very like bioluminescent, and
I mean, we're a few hundred. Well, we're 150 years off from it, but it is absolutely a warehouse rave of bioluminescent black light kind of stuff. Pull it straight out of any underground fantasy cave. Yeah, it's lots of greens and oranges and purples and light blues, and yeah, and it but lots of shadows.
And then almost unnecessary, because like it's obvious who has arrived and everything, but she shouts, essentially announces herself.
It me.
Seeking audience with she of many legs and many more eggs.
Hey, Editor Drew here. If you have arachnophobia, not into spiders, go ahead and jump forward to 143.57. Skip some description. We'll catch you up. We'll see you on the other side. The thunderclap rolls through, and it's a cavern, so you have that lovely echo that just dies out. And there's that definite sense of like you're in this enormous cavern, and then there's that darkness back there, and that darkness is all of her. And from that darkness walks, because I've been playing Warcraft recently, for those who are following along, a Nerubian. For other folks, a Drider. And so this tall, very like mostly spider, a little bit woman, we'll just stick with that, that multiple eyes, it's we're definitely spooky and disconcerting, if some of us hadn't been kind of desensitized after years of drow. But
We've all been there.
Yep. And just strides forward in, it's not clothes, but the drapery, the appearance appears of a robe, and just like multiple hands pressed together, cross between worshipful and just polite and dainty, and looks you over, and just you have a clear sense that this is a
like handmaiden almost.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Who looks and says, Petrichor of the Cabal, of the Coven. And like very disconcertingly licks her lips, as she
are there mandibles on the inside?
Right.
There's so much wrong with that.
Oh yeah, it's like
chelicerae, but mouth parts hidden.
Yeah,
cool.
Little pedipalps. Yep. And looks from you then to the essence, and like eyes all get wider. You bring a great gift.
A tribute.
A tribute. Very good. I will announce you. And like draws back. And like previously when you had been in here, there was like this buzzing and this activity of insects and stuff like that. But it is actually, since your thunderclap, it has been silence other than that. And then the tick, 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 tick of, long, very pointy, sharp legs disappearing back into the darkness, and then the darkness rolls forward like a storm cloud.
Like a storm cloud. How about
that? And mushrooms, these big mushroom tree type things just disappear. They don't appear to like have been smashed or anything like that. They just disappear into the darkness, and it just gets closer and closer and closer until there is this single, just very conveniently placed, waist high toadstool that's glowing a little blue and giving you just a little bit of light. And all you see is the darkness, and then I guess blue reflected, right?
Yeah.
Face of just jet black. So the only thing that you're really seeing is the light reflecting off of her is,
Eyes made out of obsidian.
oh yeah, just pure. And like, you definitely had this moment of like, I feel like she got bigger. I think she got bigger.
She got bigger.
Yeah.
I think she just blurts it out. She's like, "My queen, have you grown?"
I apologize. I have to say it. Yes, I have gorged myself.
Hell yeah. Well, I present another opportunity to do so.
I see. And like, there's also this moment where you're like, wait, where did the handmaiden go? If like her whole bulk has moved forward, is don't ask those questions.
Don't ask that question.
Yep.
You don't want to know the answer.
Yep. And it's like, that could be her mask. She may just be looming over you. You can't tell. Yeah. And she looks, and just this, yeah, I guess it is a hand, very, spidery and stuff like that. But it is absolutely like a human shaped hand reaches forward and just like reaches over your head and like grabs the
I perhaps wanted to discuss something before you had your meal.
She pauses with, basically, you are now sheltered in her palm, with like the ends of her fingers touching the rod that you're like holding, right? She's speak.
I have brought forth a meal for you that you may consume from me.
Explain.
You may drink as deeply as this tribute constitutes. And I hope that this will provide preemptive forgiveness should I tread in your domain unannounced or without prior notice. We have enemies above in the surface world.
For clarification, when you say we, you are referring to your coven, or are you trying to loop the queen in on this?
I'm saying the coven.
Okay.
I'm saying the coven. I do not presume to say
I
that
didn't
they
figure,
are enemies.
but that's, yeah.
No. We have enemies above, and one of them, I do not appreciate the liberties they take with the spirit world. And if they trod in my domain, I would have them learn the greatness that the spirit world here has to offer. And so I beg you to drink deep of me now so that I might have your brief alliance in the future, should I need it.
So spiders are usually small. This is news to a lot of you, I know. You've never heard a spider growl before. It's just way worse. Way worse than you thought it would be.
A lot of vibrating chitin, I imagine.
Yeah. There's this like hum frequency. It's like I imagine grasshopper kind of vibes, but at this different pitch that's just like, no. And her hand draws back from your self, and she gets lower. Like the face that was kind of looming above comes down so she can look you in the eyes.
It's
And
just way more horrifying.
yep.
Bad.
The mouth is there, and like it's straight out of a video game. Yeah, this is the big like cavern mouth that you walk through to enter the spooky temple. Just there. And she says, "You would use me and my realm as a trap?"
Yes. You may say no and keep the essence I have brought you.
There
Or-
is like, it's a spider face. It's hard to read expressions, but there's this thoughtful pensiveness for a moment, and says, "Is it one of your ascended mages?" To translate
I
for
know
Chris, is it an archmage?
I know not whether they are ascended. I am still hunting my prey. But should they wander into my home, I thought to set up an alliance or a trap for them.
Forethought, politeness. These are things that I appreciate, little mage.
I had hoped you would.
Her hand comes back over and takes the jars, and pulls it off of and sets it down beside you, like it doesn't disappear back into the darkness. She says, "I will accept this gift.
Great.
But should you or yours do harm or alter the essence above that my children may not feed, I will bring my retribution to you." Forever. The caves above are mine.
Mhm.
Very well then. And just like drags it the rest of the way. If you bring or trap some little thing in my webs here, I will. Actually, I think she says, if some little fly makes its way into my webs, I will devour them. My brood will devour them. And if I cannot clearly tell one of yours from one of your enemies, I will feel no pity.
Seems fair.
Yeah, I think
I kind of thought the no pity was baseline.
right. Yeah.
Yeah,
She's
not surprised by that.
This is going way better than Petrichor expected, by the way.
yeah,
It's going so well.
bringing. She mentioned it way back at the beginning. She likes politeness. You come prepared. Oh, okay. Y'all still there?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, she likes politeness. You came prepared with a bribe. You were like, "Listen, this is what I'm doing." You were playing in line with what she's down with: darkness and trapping and catching people in webs.
Yep.
Yeah. And then you're paying up front for her personally. She's like, "Okay, all right, this works." But then as she takes that, and you can feel something, it's akin to back when Gisela was around and was playing with fate and making O's and things of that nature, you feel something, a little thread between you and her. And you definitely feel like if something were to ever happen to the darkness of the caves and the mines above, you would have a very bad time.
Great.
Briefly.
Yes. Actually, I don't know how brief it would be. To be real.
Oh, true.
She
Yeah,
did use the word forever.
Yeah,
She did use the word forever.
Wrapped up and liquefied and slowly sucked down like a Capri Sun.
So about that,
Yeah.
that was my intention of how I was presenting her this gift.
Yes. And I
was going to chug barrels of essence and then let her,
Oh, okay. I gotcha. If you would prefer that mental picture, I'm okay with that. But I'm okay skipping.
Canon, that's what happens.
Okay, I dig that. Yeah, I think we have the man. I just have all these references back to the Rookery. We have the fade to black of Songbird going, "Sure, here's my blood, bro," and then we cut away.
It's weird that it happened twice. Yes, we're.
Yes,
I
correct.
do have a question. Does the Thunderbolt thing happen both sides of the gauntlet?
No, it's
Okay,
when Petrichor comes back,
It's to spirits. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but not audible to folks.
Yeah.
It would be in the twilight on our side.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah, so yeah. There's something I was talking about, the darkness, having a bad time. Oh yes. The other thing that I think you get from that connection is this kind of understanding of I could mark members of the Cabal, the Coven, Jules. Probably mark Jules because he's going to have the hardest time with basically something to be like, yo, this is one of mine. The whole tie a red badge, wear the right jersey, something. So if something happens, yeah. But yes, you also again, actually, hang on. You have fate. I will give you a gimme from Mage Sight that there is some very weird coincidence, which with fate, you like coincidences aren't a thing. Wherein she is gorging to get ready to no longer be of many eggs, but be of the brood queen.
Yep.
Yeah. I think the term is gravid. Yeah. Yeah, she has been feeding and feeding and feeding for a decade in the dark.
Right. Love that.
Yep.
Love that for her.
Yep.
We should probably put a trigger warning, arachnophobia warning on the description of this video.
That's fair. Yeah. Hey, future Drew, remember to
put a timestamp.
Yeah. Yep, that's a good idea. Yeah, spooky spider. But yes, she takes the essence and then draws back into the darkness. And as she does so, the cavern is kind of revealed again, and it goes deeper and deeper and farther, and it is gorgeous, it is beautiful, it is this wonderful underground, and it is a maze of web walkways and pathways and large big sprawling is it orb weavers, webs, and just it is a multitude of spiders. I know I talked about trapdoor spider earlier, but it is this
like
whole thing.
Spider little dens. Yeah.
It is a city waiting for residents.
That's cute.
Yeah. For arachnophobia folks, this is you welcome back. In short, Isabel Petrichor made a deal with the big Spider Queen and said, "Hey, if I bring bad guys here, you'll eat them, right?" And she said, "Hell yeah. Thanks for paying
I'll
up
eat
front."
anyone that you bring me.
Anyone that falls in,
Yep.
I will eat.
Yep.
Yeah, so Petrichor gets out of there
Real fast.
once it's polite, and wanders home to go put on a new pair of clothing that doesn't have giant punctures.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, actually, yeah. I actually like the idea of like there being some mark that doesn't ever go away.
Oh.
A scar.
So where would it be then?
I mean, like
So you're gonna
like navel.
suck from a carotid?
Nah.
No, that's the two vampire. I do like the idea of navel,
belly button.
belly
Yeah.
button. Yeah, especially with
I
the
was thinking just like abdominal puncture.
Just add to the continuing scarring of
Yes.
her entire
At
chest.
the bottom of at the bottom of the strike.
marks of different spirits on you.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's great.
That's cool. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, you come.
It gets home, goes to change, has to have a little. You
Moment.
see what had happened was.
Because you had told Jules you were headed there.
Yeah.
But you probably didn't tell what you were up to.
No.
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
No.
that's fair. Because Jules probably would have called the Cabal and been like, "Hey, witches, I think my wife is off her rocker."
Yep.
She's gonna do something real dangerous. You
Yep.
wanna stop her, please?
Yeah, like when she leaves town, I can't do anything. But she's in town. She's right outside. Yeah, ish.
And then we see her and she goes in to the shadow, and then we're all like, "Ah, fuck. I knew I should have got some
some
God
spirit."
damn it.
Yeah. Jules is like, "Listen, I can
She
get us
kept
there,
teasing
but
us.
it's
She
a
kept saying,
long
"Wanna do
ritual."
it?" Oh yeah. That's right.
The second best spirit mage in the Cabal is the Sleepwalker.
Yes. And he has to do all his magic out of a book.
Like a nerd.
Like a nerd. Hey, you married him. Cool. All right. Yeah, there we go. Pin in that. We're bringing some folks over to Purgatory Bluff to give them a bad day, and Petrichor goes, "Cool, I'm going to make a place where they can have a very bad day." Yep. It's like, oh, you're
building.
Appreciate it. It's like, you just, hey, Legba, just give me a big sweep of who doesn't have spirit magic in front of us. Them, cool. You go across the gauntlet. 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 Cool. It's like,
I mean, even if they do have spirit magic, I think they're still going to have a lot of trouble going across the gauntlet.
Because getting back would be
they can get
spirit,
back, yeah.
right? Yeah, but if they don't have spirit, they're kind of similar to
right, but trying to work your magic while you're slowly, like while you're being devoured by the mother
eaten.
there,
fair.
Might be a little distracting.
A little distracting. Yes. So yes, we can mark down on our definitely made an alliance. Well, let's not say alliance. A little handshake of we can be friends with the Queen of Darkness and she of many legs and eggs. Yeah. Cool.
So
I like that.
just some like post if there's some sharing of thoughts right afterwards.
Oh, I'm sure, because once she comes across the shadow, I'm sure the telepathy is unhinged.
Yeah.
Have we given, and by we I mean you, have we given any thought to what happens when all those eggs hatch?
I mean, she'll probably eat a lot of them.
Yeah.
Okay.
They'll probably eat each other.
Which is
strong ones
not only a spider thing to do, it's a very spirit thing to do.
Yeah.
Second thing is, for like in the conversation you had, do we know that this is going to be happening after dark? Because people in town know not to look out their windows after dark.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. Like I mean, the liberators are going to go do one last pickup of folks, which they do at night anyways, just because it's much easier to avoid
And
sleepers.
I
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
think the assumption is that people are going to be immediately following on their heels.
No.
No, it'll be that in the coming days afterwards that people will
People are
get
gonna come looking.
in their feelings about it, and then try and
Yeah. Mhm.
investigate.
Yep.
They were like, "Hey, it's too hasty. I don't think you should do it. It's not worth it." And then like people are gonna be drunk, and then one dude's gonna leave the Cabal house, and he's gonna come stumbling down the path, space magic wise, throwing a bottle of Jack Daniels at the door. Let me in. I know Charlene's here. That kind of thing.
Yeah. No. The liberators will arrive quickly and suddenly.
Right?
Yep.
Oh,
Sorry.
oh, good. What? So for folks at home, Craig
I'm
is
on my
now on a laptop, and we were just suddenly reminded of that. So yes, the liberators are basically going to be passing like ships in the night very, very quickly. That is what Legba is directly facilitating, and then everybody else is very likely going to have to follow the breadcrumbs from the liberators' hideout, or following the sympathetic connection of the liberated folks, and seeing if they can follow sympathetic connections. And all of that is going to be scrambled because they're heading west.
Yep.
So yeah, the arrival of baddies will be sometime behind. For us, it'll probably be next session.
Yep, makes sense. That's the plan.
So good stuff. Yeah, so that's what we'll be up to next session.
Gonna be a good time.
I look forward to it.
Real good time.
Thank you all for joining us. As always, we're glad to have you here. Sorry for the new release schedule, but this just makes it much easier for us to schedule. We had multiple weeks in a row there where we couldn't even meet. This just makes life much easier for us, and we're not scrambling and pushing for days when work was really, really bad, or we were we had other family obligations, or wanted to just take a day off. This really facilitates that. So thank you for your patience with these episodes coming out whenever. Right now we're filming around Halloween, so that gives you an idea of how long we've been at this. Yep. So thank you as always for following along. If you want to join us on Discord, that's www.yeetinto.space. If you want to support us monetarily, that's www.staylucky.club. And we look forward to hearing with you, chatting with you, and of course, the ye old fashioned like, comment, subscribe, engage with the algorithm, so that we grow and become gorged.
Like she. That's right.
All right. Bye, y'all.
Later.